Hello and welcome. This is PappaZappa. I'm here bringing you another tier list. Today I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts Geo and Tankman.
Hello, this
Hello,
is
how are
Tankman.
you?
And today we're going to be ranking World War II tanks in their historical service. So not War Thunder, not World of Tank, none of that Palarva, not Company of Heroes, just as far as we're aware how they performed historically. If there are tanks you thought we missed, by all means let us know and feel free to tell us your ranking down below. If there's a lot of them, we'll perhaps consider coming back and ranking them in a separate video. But for now, let's just go ahead and get right into it with the Sherman Firefly. Now, this is a tank that historians love to glaze in the modern era. They're always like, oh yes, this is the Tiger and the Panther Hunter. The Germans feared this tank. Whether that's true or not is up to be seen, considering it's just a normal Sherman, so a Tiger and a Panther could blow it up just as easily. It does have a funny backstory where it had to have a lot of modifications changed, and the way it was built moved around to actually fit the 17-pounder into the hole. So I think for that reason, I'm inclined to say that this is like... If you were a Western historian ranking this, you'd probably say A or S, but for me, I'd say B. What do you guys? Any feelings on the Firefly?
Uh, I want to say that it's impractical. Like the gun is too big for it. From what I remember, the depression was not as great as with other Shermans, and because of the gun handling especially, it could only be in the position of a sniper, ambusher
Mm-hmm.
for like a tank destroyer. It's not a medium tank. So
So where would you
yeah,
rate
worst
it?
of mid.
Okay. And
Semi.
then, Tankman, how about you? Any opinions on the Firefly?
Well, for me, while exploring the historical facts, we have to consider that the Sherman Firefly was targeted enough that the crews had to come up with ways to camouflage the way the gun. So it means the Germans consider the Firefly to be enough of a threat to prioritize it in engagements. Which means that in a way they were fearing this gun,
Mm-hmm.
which proved its effectiveness.
Okay.
So I would rate it to A.
Alright, so A, B, and mid means it's going to B. Geo, why don't you tell us about the Matilda 1?
It's pretty decent. Just, honestly, it's like all the Matildas just it was okay in the early war, but then just it was too complex in the design as well, and it did not survive very long in the battlefield. I would say it's mid minus.
Okay. Tankman?
Matilda 1 is uh, one of the first iteration of the Matilda, so it did not have some of the qualities of later products. So yeah, I would say it's mid.
Mm-hmm. I would go so far to say is this is an F tier tank as far as World War II is concerned. They participated in the Ardennes offensives in 1940, and they were effectively worthless then. It's honestly probably a good thing that Britain lost all their tanks in this Ardennes offensive, so they could actually build decent ones for North Africa and later. So with mid minus, and F, that's going to put it firmly in mid minus. Tankman, why don't you tell us about the much better Matilda 2?
Matilda 2. Now that is a much better tank. First off, armor was improved. Then the gun was also upgraded, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
which made it a more formidable opponent that required the Germans some bigger weapons, basically. And I
Mm-hmm.
would put it in B tier.
Okay. Geo, any opinions on the Matilda 2?
I mean, like it has the same issues as the previous one, where the code design was too complex and just though wasn't as good as it was compared to other tanks at the time. I mean, it could be the Panzer II, of course. Uh, a Panzer III, yeah, for long engagements, but Just, like, why would you have a Matilda if you could have a Crusader? So still put in a mid minus.
Okay, so for me, I would say the Matilda 2 is actually a pretty good tank as far as Britain is concerned. It made Operation Compass go the way it did, where the Italians just didn't have anything that could penetrate its armor, barring like a couple 90 millimeters here and there that really weren't in use enough to make it count. And it also participated in the Battle of Stalingrad and helped the Russians in Moscow, I think, as well. So I'd say it's pretty historically relevant as far as tanks go. I'd put it in A tier. So let's see, we got an A, a B, and a mid minus. I'm gonna say that that puts it at the bottom of B.
Considering Gio's obsession with overly complicated tanks, I feel like he's going to rate the German tanks very lowly.
Alright, so next we have the Tetrarch. This is Britain's attempt at making an airdroppable tank. The problem is it kept not working very well. They kept bothering to try. I like the way that the Tank Museum puts it. What's the problem with an airdroppable tank? Well, the fact that you should be building a tank for breakthroughs and not be dropping out of a plane. It's just silly to think you should be doing this to begin with. So I'm inclined to say that it was basically just a waste of space and time and engineering. So I'd put this at F tier personally. Gio?
To be honest, don't have all the information on the tank itself. A question. Would it have been available for Operation Market Garden, or did it come after?
I think it was built around then, like 44, 45.
If it's 44-5, then would get the same, like the same. How should I call it? It it, it would fare the same as the M22.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know how that goes.
So F tier then?
I mean, it's got wheels. I
Oh
would
yeah,
put it
that's a
in.
big argument.
I would put it in mid.
Okay. And then Tankman, how about yourself?
Considering the facts exposed by Zappa, flying tank is a very bad idea. F tier.
Alright, there we go. Two Fs and a mid, I don't think is going to save it from F.
Uh,
So, yeah, there you go. Gio, why don't you tell us about the Valentine 1?
Valentine. It was an improvement over the Matilda, at least for the design. I believe that it did do quite well in the African campaign.
I'm not familiar. I know it participated with the Soviets, but that's the end of that.
Also remember that it had some issues with the heat, like you could get too hot inside the tank
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because it didn't have a lot of space. That's how the arbor layout was. But generally it performed well where it was at. I would give it a bit here.
Okay. Tankman?
I mean, I believe it is one of the better designs of the early war tanks for the British. I would also put it in B tier.
I think a fun fact about the Valentine is that I'm pretty sure most of them were made in Canada.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% on that. I mean, it has the same gun as the Matilda, but I feel like it's less notorietous than the Matilda, so I would say it's mid personally, so let's just put it at the bottom of B tier. Alright, so we've got the Valentine 11 and 9. We're going to mark them at the same time. So I think it's Geo is up? No, it's Tankman is up, I think.
So Valentine 9 and 11 are both upgraded versions of Valentine 1 with a much better gun. So I think they came a bit late, I believe, because around this time I think there was already maybe Panzer 4 F2s or even Tigers. I'm not sure.
I think they were being
So,
they were competing with Shermans as well for like home use.
yeah. So I would think it would go into either mid or mid minus.
Okay. Gio, do you have an opinion on the Valentines with the uprated gun?
Minus because, well, one of the only good things the Valentine 1 had was the armor, which didn't last for long, but it did give it a good enough impact. As for the Valentine 9 and 11, it was outdated. Like, even if you give it a better gun, if the main premise of the tank is that it's well armored when it's not, then you might as well put the gun in something that's lighter.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a waste of money.
So where would
Would
you
put
rate
them in
it?
mid minus.
All right. So as far as I'm concerned, I agree with you guys. Although it did help the Soviets out when they needed tanks, so I mean I'd put it in mid for that. But just that isn't going to keep it from mid minus. I think it does beat the Matilda 1 though. I think we can agree on
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
Mhm.
Matilda one was not a good tank.
All right. Next is the A13. So this tank's actually pretty good as far as the British are concerned in the early war. It was like the main tank in the Arras counterattack that caused Rommel to like shriek and overreact that oh no, there's a whole British army coming through on our flank during the Bailey invasion. It also performed well enough in North Africa in 1940 and 41. Well, no, 41 and 42, I think. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty decent. I'd put it in B tier. Gio?
I mean, it looks not like an early Crusader, so I don't think I can give it a bad rating. I would put it in mid just because for the time it came out, did not have that much of a. No, you don't have to depend on the armor for that sort of tank, but it was okay as a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm. It had the role as a cruiser tank for the British, so
Yeah,
basically a breakthrough tank.
I would put it in B. I think it deserves it.
All right, how about you, Tankman?
Well, like most British cruisers, it was rather fast, yes, indeed, but poorly armored and unreliable. So I will put it in mid.
All right, so two B's in the mid. It's gonna put it at the bottom of B. Okay. Now, the AC-1 Sentinel and the AC-4. Did they actually see combat? Like, did the Australians deploy these against the Japanese?
AC4.
We should look
Tank.
that up briefly because if they didn't, we're not ranking these. All right, so we're
I
just
will
gonna
see
go
now.
ahead and not rank the AC-1 then, or the AC-4.
It's just a meme.
Let's see. Did I rank the A13?
We said it was
Yeah.
gonna be B, so.
All right, now how about the Avenger, Geo?
Oh, Avenger. I'm gonna be honest, I thought from image it looks like it was the Valiant.
Oh, and no, the Valiant's like one of the worst tanks ever.
Yeah, Avenger. Did it even see any combat in World War II?
I don't think so. I don't know. We're gonna have to look that up.
From what I see for the Challenger, it was delivered to units that used Cromwells. So maybe it was used then?
Yeah, that would be like in 44 and 45. Okay,
They were
Geo.
used during
Oh,
the occupation of Germany by
all
the
right,
British.
cool. Geo, why don't you tell us about the Challenger?
Uh, it wasn't the same as the Avenger.
No, no, it has a taller turret. Same gun though. Pretty much same chassis.
17 pounder, but
And it
I
saw a
think it
little
also
bit of service right at the end of the war.
no. It, it's what I would have wanted to see in the place of the Sherman Firefly. If I'm gonna be honest,
Okay.
because it's got the speed that the Firefly doesn't have. It's got the depression and everything. It was made for the 17 pounder. While the Sherman, it was it was a Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. So where would you
So
rate it then?
we put it in A.
Okay. Tankman?
Yeah, it's a pretty good tank for something that was made for the gun. So I will put it in A too.
I'm gonna disagree here. I think the fact that it was right at the end of the war really just means that it wasn't that relevant. And in my mind, relevancy is pretty big as far as where a tank gets ranked. Like, yeah, it's a good tank overall for like fighting a German tank threat, but at the point in 45 when they're invading Germany, there really isn't that many German tanks left. So I'd say mid personally.
But the shift in Panda was still okay that period.
No, that's fine and all. I'm just saying that there like wasn't really much for it to do. So I'd say it can still go in A, but it's going to be the bottom of it.
Eh,
All right. And then, Tankman, why don't you tell us about the first iteration of the Churchill? I think this is the one with the 40 millimeter.
Sorry. Yes, the Churchill one. It was one of the first heavy tanks deployed by the British during World War II. So very well armored, but the firepower was rather lacking. And another factor that really was at the disadvantage of the tank is that the British didn't really know how to use it. Because at some point they tried to do a debarkament with it in Dieppe, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go very well. So yeah, I think I will go to mid.
Okay. Gio?
well, I'm gonna start by saying it's F tier, and I'm gonna explain why. Uh, for the design of the Churchill, it's like as if the interwar period never happened, because well, because if we are to compare it with a cruiser, which is a, a tank design that did its development in the interwar period, I believe that the Churchill was didn't have that sort of attention. So when it came, they could only use World War One examples, and that's why it looks closer to like a Mark V instead of an actual modern heavy tank. So you know how slow it is, and the 40 millimeter for a heavy tank just that just doesn't work out. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
bad.
I think I will also rate this F tier, and I'll just go with what Tankman informed me Churchill said when he saw this thing. Dear God, why? Why is this thing named after me? Is it worse than the Tetrarch, though? Sure, because it actually made it. People used it.
They died for it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I think I'm talking about the Churchill 3. And
Yeah.
for that matter, let's just include the 4 and the 7. Just because they're all pretty much the same. The Churchill, like, once they put the 75 millimeter gun on it, slash the 57, if that is one of the versions that has it, was actually a pretty damn good tank. They figured out a lot of mechanical issues. It had really good armor. Pretty much everywhere it was deployed in like North Africa, Normandy, Germany, the soldiers really liked working alongside it. I'd say that this is like either an A or an S tier tank. It's really good for the combat situations it found itself in. Gio?
Chelsea 3, when it came out, it was pretty strong, I believe. Uh, they sort of improved further on the Churchill 1 design. They still had the same idea, but I think it did get in like an improved engine and some armor at the front. Uh, yeah, I think it should get a bit higher than F. Could be on mid.
Okay. And Tankman, your opinions on the Churchill series later?
The later models, while getting better and better armor, didn't really have enough of a great with the firepower, so I would put it in mid.
Okay, so I'm going to say that mine's... I'll go with A, probably. So we'll just put them in mid. Honestly, let's do the 7 at the highest. We'll just do it like that, for that order. Or now, did the Churchill gun carrier get used that much?
It was produced, but never saw service.
So it doesn't
Goes
matter.
for home defense, maybe?
Okay, cool.
No,
Alright.
because the gun became outdated rather rapidly.
Alright, and then we got the Comet here. Gio, why don't you tell us about the Comet?
If I recall, it's got a 12 pounder or?
It has technically a 77 millimeter gun, but it's still 76. They just called it a 77 so soldiers wouldn't get confused that it wasn't the same as the 17 pounder. It also has Sabo as a round option.
Yeah, but that's in War Thunder. It's not.
I'm pretty sure that was a real life thing too. The British were the first to invent Sabo.
Yeah, but probably experimental at the States. And
It was used in combat.
Only
1945.
during minor engagements.
So yeah, it was
so
at the end of the war, certainly. But it's like the same kind of thing as the Challenger.
I think the Comet is more so. It was the British Panther. I want to say.
Medium tank with a high velocity anti-tank gun.
And then awful reverse speed. But it doesn't have armor at the front. So that would justify how slow it is.
It's pretty fast. We can go like 50 kilometers an hour.
The reverse speed, like.
Oh, that it's on a Cromwell chassis.
From that stage of the war, like the image of the modern tank, it would slowly start to form, and you need the reverse speed for that. Like you need to be more mobile. Comet. I'm just not feeling it honestly. Mid minus.
Okay. Tankman, your opinions on the Comet?
Mm, yeah, it came quite late, like a lot of British designs, but I guess it would have done the job if the war had gotten longer, so I would put it in B.
So I think that the Comet is an interesting tank. It's pretty good as far as the British are concerned, and the fact that it used Sabo and was like pretty relevant for advancing tank technology is cool. But I wouldn't put it higher than mid. So with a mid, a B, and a mid minus, we'll just put it at the bottom of C for now. All right, Tankman, why don't you tell us about the Cromwell?
Cromwell, I believe it was overall a pretty good tank. Maybe, yes, the reverse speed was terrible, and the earlier models forward speed was limited by the gearbox. But considering it's the Churchill, how much? I mean, it's the Cromwell 5 or 3.
Yeah,
Hold on,
it's
I
the
can
Cromwell
see.
5.
Yeah, I think they upgraded the engine and stuff, so yeah, it made for a pretty good tank. I would put it in B.
Okay. I'll pretty much agree with that. It saw service in Normandy with British soldiers and then through into Germany. It did pretty decent. I got nothing bad to say about it. I'd say it's B tier, probably like in the middle above the Valentine. How about you, Gio?
I'm not feeling this one as well. To be honest. But it's got the same ideas as the Comet, but it's actually worse. And I believe that they came out around the same time.
No, this was like a year earlier. It also saw a lot more service.
Yes, so it was the predecessor, and I don't know. It's just, it gives me the idea that British that the British research is progressing like too slowly. So like they put a tank out, they say it's not good enough, and they improve it in a year. And in a year, it performs the same as the previous one, so it's still not good enough.
Well,
So it's just, I don't know what they're doing. So it should be at the same place as a Comet, just because for the same time it came out, it had the same.
so you're saying mid?
performance. Yeah.
So that's two
I'm saying
Bs and a mid. I'd say that puts it probably. I'd say
Yeah, we
it
put it
could
in
go
the
below the A13.
We'd put it in a mid minus, but we still end up in B, wouldn't it?
Maybe it might be the top of mid at that point, but I don't think the Churchill or the Cromwell's mid at any rate. All right, and then our last two British tanks. We've got the Crusader 1 and the Crusader 3. I'm going to rate them at the same time. They're not very reliable. That's what they're known for. They're they're decently fast when they do work. They were good in the desert campaign for like Operation Compass and later fighting Rommel. But the British crews, like I said, hated how unreliable they were. So that definitely hurts their performance a bit. The Crusader 1, I think, made it in time for like the battles in 1940 in France, but obviously it didn't go well enough to change the course of that. So I'd be inclined to rate these guys like they're cool in concept, not very good in deployment. So probably mid-minus for me. Gio?
As I was saying before we got talking about the cruiser, I'm a fan of the Crusaders just because I think they were closer to the modern tank image. They are the tanks that came out in time as in Matilda, Valentine, Churchill. So I want to put the Crusader 1 B and the Crusader 3 to S. Because even though the Crusader did have its reliability issues, I think it had a lot of potential.
Okay. And Tankman, what do you think?
Mm. I think the Crusader 1 is kinda hey. Like it's a early British light tank, so it's not really particularly good in anything except speed, so probably be mid minus.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crusader 3 on the other hand had much better everything, and
Mhm.
was pretty well used during the African campaign, so I would put it in A tier.
Okay, so the Crusader 1 has 2 mid-minuses and a B, so let's put it as the king of mid-minus. And then the Crusader 3, you said B or did you say A?
I said hey.
So we've got an A, an S, and a mid-minus, so that's going to put it in A. Is it better than the Challenger? Yes. Alright, cool, and that's all the British vehicles. I think this is a good time to take a break as well, since we've been at this for a while. We'll split this into multiple parts. And when we return, we'll do the USSR tanks and maybe the US, if it doesn't take that long.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks for joining me, Gio and Tankman. It was nice having you on for a tier list.
No problem.
That's right.
And yeah, if you guys like the content, you viewing it, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, have a good one.